Psychological safety is a must for all organizations, especially healthcare organizations. If you're thinking about it, without psychological safety, your staff are going to be in a lot of problems. Like, there's going to be some issues. We already know about the high prevalence of mental health cases amongst healthcare workers. It's only getting worse. But if there is an absence of psychological safety, the staff are going to fear speaking out, right? So, they're going to see something and not want to say it. Psychological well-being is going to start to suffer because people are going to be wondering who's against me, who's actually here to support me. It's going to be quite crazy. There's going to be a decline in how people collaborate. Because think about it, if you're scared of who's actually against you, you ain't gonna want to actually talk out. You ain't gonna want to collaborate with people, and over time, that's gonna lead to a sort of a fear, sort of toxic culture within the organization, where there is mistrust, where there's sort of backbiting and backstabbing, and where actually patient care isn't at the forefront. So, guys, today what I really want us to explore is how can we cultivate more psychologically safe organizations? It sounds really weird, but it's really, really important. So, let's get into it. Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of Leading Health with Dr. Atom. Always appreciated. Thank you, as always, for connecting. Thank you for engaging, and thank you for exploring. So, today we are going to be really thinking about psychological safety. We're going to be thinking about the 4 ways that we can actually cultivate psychologically safe organizations, particularly healthcare organizations. And in doing so, what we want to do is really prevent some of the craziness that happens within organizations when they're not psychologically safe, when you have employees there who don't feel safe. I suppose the first question is, what exactly is psychological safety? When we're talking about psychological safety, it really refers to an individual's perception of the consequences of taking risk or doing something that might lead to them getting into trouble. So psychological safety just really refers to when you're in an organization and people's beliefs amongst the members of the organization, how are things done here? How do we do what we do? And if we make a mistake, what's going to happen to us? And really it's about people thinking, well, is our interpersonal relationships at risk? Are we able to do things in a way in which we want to do them? And that's very, very important. Now, large organizations like Google and others have spent a lot of money thinking about psychological safety. They've done a lot of research on it. And what they found was that psychological safety was the most important factor in effective teamwork. So think about all the crazy stuff that can go wrong when you're working in teams. Psychological safety was deemed to be the most important. And so you can start to see from the perspective of Google, which is one of the biggest companies in the world, how important psychological safety is. So what can we do to cultivate this? Number one, it's really about encouraging open communication, particularly within your organization, creating opportunities for honest communication. So there's always those people in the organization that they're a bit awkward, they don't speak out. You have to cultivate that environment. I think, come, let's talk. I want to know what you're thinking about. It might be crazy, but I still want to know about it. What that does is it sort of fosters an environment of inclusivity. People feel okay, then I can express myself. If I have ideas, if I have concerns, if I have some questions, I can bring them up and they'll be listened to. People's not gonna laugh at me. And I think that's really, really important. Something I think sort of gives you an insight into this is what I refer to as environments of learning. You know that thing where you're somewhere and you feel like you're learning, you feel like you understand what's going on, and even if you don't, people around you are gonna help you and they're gonna help you grow. That's really important. And I think having a psychologically safe environment is one in which you feel like you're there to learn, you're there to grow, you're there to be a better version of yourself. The second way that we can create psychologically safe environments is to sort of celebrate learning and celebrate mistakes. So encourage people to like push the boundaries, make mistakes. We have to recognize, you know, it happens. But you have to think about, okay, now when it does happen, how you like changing it? How are you changing around what is actually going on? If you're just doing things in the same way and hoping and praying that somehow things are not going to go wrong, well, you're quite deluded to begin with. And also, you're not really thinking about your patients because, you're going to have lots of different types of patients coming into your organization. And what you want to do is to have an environment in which when you do make mistakes, you recognize it and you do something about it. So I just referred to that thing about doing something about it. So that's that like creating a blame-free environment where you admit your mistakes, where you like discuss them. Hey, I messed up on this. This is what led to my mistake. So other people can be like, oh, okay, we can learn from that. And that's so important, especially within a healthcare environment. So, this is something that I talk about a lot when I'm sort of training healthcare workers. I've just come back from doing some impact work, and healthcare workers always ask me like difficult questions. And one thing about cultivating a psychologically safe environment is what I allude to when I try and give them the answers. And it really comes about, recognizing that mistakes happen and not shying away from them. And sometimes that can be difficult, but it works. The third way that we can cultivate psychologically safe environments is by actually supporting professional development. So, what we mean by that is like your human resource within your organization. And what we're thinking about is what are we doing to harness our human resource? What are we doing to like upskill our workforce, particularly in areas like, I don't know, communication, emotional intelligence, being able to actually learn from mistakes, having that sort of critical thinking skills, very, very important. And if you're able to do that, if as an organization, you're constantly striving to like upskill your workforce, you're constantly striving to think about all the things that you can do to empower your workforce, what you're going to realize is that they're going to give you 110%, but that 110% is going to be a really good quality 110%. Not any rubbish. Is going to be them thinking, okay, then I'm here to grow, I'm here to learn, I'm here to develop, and I'm here to use that knowledge and implement it within my day to day work. And you're going to see the benefits, especially if you're a for profit healthcare organization. So, the fourth way that we can do this is by regularly assessing psychological safety within our organizations. Guys, let me be real with you. Having a psychologically safe organization, it doesn't just happen overnight. You don't just get to work and then it's there. You have to proactively, purposely go out of your way to cultivate it within the organization. You have to like embed it within your organization into the fabric of the organization. To do that, one of the key strategies is to constantly review, okay, guys, where are we on our journey to cultivating this psychologically safe environment that we've been hearing about, that we think is actually needed? And if you're able to have those sort of pit stops, what that allows you to do is to reflect on the last period, 2 months, 3 months, and think, okay, then, what have we done? Have we got to where we want to go to? Are we moving in the right direction? And that's really, really important because what that also does is it allows you to have that sort of critical processing. It allows you to think, okay, then, am I thinking this through in the right way? Are we strategically doing this in a way that appreciates and accommodates the sort of social cultural context within our organization? That's something we don't always think about, right? But it's really, really important. I've done research in, and unfortunately, I have worked in organizations that were not psychologically safe. And to be honest with you, you spend about 80% of your energy looking over your shoulder, thinking, you know, am I going to be in trouble? And that's the worst type of organization that you want to work in. So, guys, if you're thinking about cultivating a psychologically safe environment. Those are the four key ways in which you can do it. And so, what we want to do now is to think, okay, then moving forward, how are you going to start cultivating psychologically safe environments within your organization? What are you going to do differently? Please leave your comments. Let's connect. I would really love to know some of the strategies that you have implemented. Did it work? Did it not work? And also, I'd love to hear from you if you've been in an environment that was psychologically not safe. What happened? How did it make you feel? Were you able to do your work in the way in which you wanted to? I'd love to hear from you, and we can probably make some content on that. Why not? Thank you again for connecting, engaging, and exploring. As always, stay tuned for more videos on leading health.